Welcome to the world premiere second ever episode of Gears League, an Xbox podcast. It's Tyler Bello.
This is Bello Kasai.
Well, this is Qual, but I knew we were jumping right into it like that. But this is Qual Malo.
That's right. That's how hardcore we are here. Anyway, so what have you guys been playing? What's going on in life? How's games? How's Xbox?
Well, still maidens, Siege and Rocket. Actually just got ranked. I am
Oh shit.
Silver 3 right now.
I didn't know we were in the presence of a Silver 3 player.
Plays with blacks and somehow gets silver. Makes sense. Thank you, Ubisoft.
Thank you,
appreciate
Ubisoft.
it so
That's how my Gears 4 rank worked. Like, I'd literally, win every match, MVP, bronze 1. It's like, I could not have gotten a worse rank. All right. Yeah. But
You get in demotion instead of promotion. It's fine. I've been playing some Witcher 3, actually.
What?
Yeah, I know. I'm a degenerate. I need to play other games, but I think Witcher 3 I need to finish that game. I have a really bad habit of, getting AAA games and never finishing them.
It seems like PC players more than others have that problem more. Because there's always, some game as a service we're playing that, soups us back in as soon as we try to play another game. And so, we play, 4 hours of a game and then just go back.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I tried playing some Counter-Strike.
Tell me more about Witcher 3, though. I didn't even know. Did you just start from the beginning, or how are you doing
No,
that?
I started from the beginning, and then I guess Steam had a cloud save for me. So basically, it was around maybe chapter 2. So I started playing. You know what? I want to start over. I want to collect everything and collect all the plants. But I think it's just the graphics and the story kind of is captivating. So I was like, maybe I should finish this game and play it thoroughly. But then again, Call of Duty's off there around the corner.
That's right.
So the curse of PC people.
Yeah, I remember.
PC sales.
Dude, I remember we were talking at work today, and you were just like, Call of Duty's coming out. Call of Duty's not coming out until the 25th, and it's the 22nd.
It's 22nd. It's coming out in 3 days, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. I'm still grinding away the Gears Season Pass for now, so that's going pretty well. I'm actually almost done, and I'm going to start the Destiny 2 grind, which I'm very excited about, so...
I'm excited for Destiny 2 because I'll be doing that with you.
Yeah.
And now that is a great point because now that Destiny 2 moved to PC, or not moved to PC, but from Blizzard and Battle.net server, what are you going to do? I bought the game, but now there's DLCs that they're trying to get you to buy, which is kind of be a topic we'll talk about today. How do you feel about that?
Oh, yeah. Well... I've got mixed things. So we'll get to that here in a bit. But I've got a counter. I know your logic for a DLC. It makes total sense, but I kind of see it from the other side too. So
I'll fight everybody in their DLC opinions.
We'll fight
everybody.
All right. But anyway, let's get into the news. So yeah, the first news story would be Fallen Order details emerge. So Jedi Fallen Order is, as you know, the Star Wars game by Respawn, formerly the developers of Titanfall. Hopefully, still the developers of Titanfall 3, but seems like EA kind of made them pass it up after Apex Legends did so well. But anyway, yeah. So some new details. I'll just read them from the IGN article here. So, one, you can collect lightsaber parts and use them to upgrade and enhance your lightsaber at specific locations. This includes your lightsaber blade color. First off, that's really funny that it even says it in there, because every one of these videos, this motherfucker's been playing with a blue lightsaber. I was like, I'm only going to play this game if I get a red lightsaber. I'm Sith all the way.
I'm going to return the game. Return the whole game.
It is a weird thing that they would touch on that in news articles, but they wouldn't actually show it in any of the gameplay.
I think they're trying to show, look how real of an authentic Jedi experience this is, and there's just me, this evil fuck, cackling in the back.
Well then.
I want to be evil. No. All right, cool. And then this part was a little I don't know, because I remember a couple months ago there was some notes from the developer saying it was going to be inspired from Dark Souls, but this one says here, although Fallen Order has some Dark Souls influence, unlike Dark Souls, you can change the difficulty at any time. which I mean it's not that big a deal. I will say when games don't give you the difficulty option, it's usually a much more balanced and smooth experience than when you pick it, because something is not balanced in whatever difficulty you're picking. Like it's like unless you're playing normal, if you're playing hard or nightmare difficulty, whatever the highest difficulty is, there's always like something wrong with it that just wasn't balanced. Like the laser beam you're being shot
Something
with
that
are
makes you want to
grenades.
uninstall your whole game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And as an achievement hunter, I always play on the highest difficulty anyway. So, that's kind of a big thing for me. And then one part here too. There's a lot of other notes on this article. I'm probably not going to read through them all. But another part here is there's no fast travel. So once you land on a planet, you have to navigate it on foot, like Metroid Prime. That's literally the
Well,
wording
you
of
can't
it.
call Uber or Lyft, so that's fine.
Right.
You can pick to where you fly to, but you can't.
Right,
move
which
around.
makes zero sense. Why can't I just fly the spot I want to go? If I want to go to the Dairy Queen on planet Naboo, let me just drop off the Dairy Queen at Naboo. But what?
Is it free to roam though?
What?
It's a free to roam game.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it free to roam on your ship too? Couldn't you, in theory, get on your ship and then just start taking it?
Yeah, exactly, right? But
Why would
no. I think in space you're on your ship, but like when you land, you're on foot. Is basically what it's saying. I think too. So,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
I see.
yep. So, but anyway, other than that, yeah, there's a lot of shit like this in the article on IGN. So pretty fascinating stuff. So, but I'm gonna skip through it here for the next piece of news, which I think is phenomenal. Is Outer Worlds is launching into Game Pass.
What?
That's right.
What?
Yes.
Hold on, wait a minute. Now,
Yeah.
That's something I'm looking for because
Yeah. Yup.
I don't drop another $60 for a game when there's like 5 of them already out
Exactly.
this month. So that's great.
Yeah, and if you did it the little trick that happened earlier this year, like a lot of people did, where the Game Pass Ultimate deal for $1, but if you basically paid, you would turn the remaining time you had in your Xbox Live membership into Xbox Live Ultimate. If you did that trick, so I just bought up like 2.5 years, and then I did it. So I basically have this game for $1.
You sly when wet back.
Yeah,
You sly when slippery.
but it kind of makes sense. I mean, Obsidian's now owned by Microsoft, so this makes a number of games published by Microsoft. They're going to end up on a Sony platform, but yeah, it kind of makes sense. It's launching into Game Pass, so another huge win for Game Pass, which has just become like an increasingly better value. Especially since Gears 5 launched into it too. So
And it'll be something that will be available on PlayStations.
exactly, yeah. But you get the better deal on Xbox, which is
Of course.
I think that's brilliant marketing. So it's no secret that Xbox, while doing very well and is by every stretch of the imagination a successful console, it did get its ass kicked by PlayStation 4. So
Another thing we didn't talk about was how about since a lot of things are changing to subscription based, but we never really talk about Humble Bundle. I mean, there's some awesome games on there every month that I can just get or download.
right, yeah, which is still a good value. I feel like, but like, I mean, Humble Bundle seems like it's always kind of been that other thing,
Yeah.
But like, Game Pass, I feel like is, Phil Spencer always said he wanted a Netflix of games.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is kind of becoming the new trend among gaming in general. Like there was this, I was listening to someone else who they were talking about like in the NPD numbers. You know how they've always got like they were for so long they were so off and so useless because they didn't count digital sales. Mm-hmm. And then they finally we got digital sales in there. And then now it's like we go as game and subscription. Like fuck, how do we keep track of anything?
We can't do this, but
Yeah, so now I mean, we live in a world now where Gears 5 barely sells anything, but everyone's playing it. And what was the other game from EA? EA's supposed answer to Anthem. Yeah, Anthem.
Access Pass?
Yeah, Anthem. Everyone buys Anthem, and then no one plays it.
yeah.
I wish they had just done it with Game Pass so that I would have known I hated it and the amount of money I did on the Legendary version.
Yeah, I took
because I played it for a cumulative probably about 3 hours. I gave that game a chance,
right.
and I never touched it since that day.
When I saw it, I'm like, man, that's epic. it's not gonna take me away from Destiny though. So I was like, I knew that it wasn't launching with PvP. That was kind of, and then Apex Legends came out, so that's pretty much all I cared about.
Right.
So like I was spared, I guess, the tragedy of having to deal with that. But
I pre-ordered. That was the last game I ever pre-ordered. Actually,
that did it for you.
It made me
Yeah,
never pre-order anything. It's like, yeah, I'll just wait till reviews are out.
dude, it's so sad because like you see like Fallout 76, they are like trying, like, and they're trying hard to come back.
They're not going to. It's
I
not
believe
living up to the same thing as.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like Bethesda's giving a shit, and they're trying. They're releasing like free DLC, which unfortunately got delayed. That was another story that happened. It got delayed, but they're at least trying to fix their mistakes. Where EA looks like they just gave up. They're like, fuck it,
Like,
no.
we're not doing this. You know what? F it. You know, we don't care about their feelings, yeah?
And it's crazy the amount of money they spent on advertising the game, making it look so cool.
It did make its money back. That game was like, it's still like the second best selling game of the year. Yeah.
That's mostly for pre-orders.
Yeah.
But then if you look at their charts of sales after a month,
Right.
there's
A huge drop off. Yeah.
it's-
Yeah.
But gosh, I just can't believe I was one of the people that
Yeah.
duped.
I feel bad.
I
for
got
you.
used.
Yeah. But and still another slow news week. Unfortunately, it was like scraping hard to look for anything. Last thing I found isn't really news so much as it's just like this developer said something about it. Let's bring it up. So basically, another article on IGN about how one of the artist directors on Gears 5 mentioned he had gotten some inspiration from Destiny 2. And as well as The Handmaid's Tale. Yeah, which
It's gonna be a weird.
Right, exactly. So he says like that he thinks that Gears 6 could draw inspiration from those two things. So it's not really news, but mentioning of Gears 6 just gets me.
Even
Gets
though
me
Gears,
hard.
Even though Gears 5 just came out.
Gears 5 just came out, yes,
It's
but
not gonna be like another.
it's gonna be at least 3 years for the next one. But I love I care about the story so much. And Gears 5 was such a redemption in story. Like, Gears 4 was trash campaign. Like, I can't tell you how much I hate Gears 4 campaign. I have over 600 hours in the achievement list. I ended up playing the campaign like 1,100,000 times at least. No, seriously, probably like at least 12 times through. I hated it more every time. Like, the first time I played, I'm like, that was okay. And I just hated it every time more after that I kept playing it. Like, especially Oscar's voice. I don't know if you played
Oh,
through it
man,
much,
Oscar's voice just makes me cringe.
Oh, there's more DBs.
Double DVs here. It's fine.
God, I'm like, Oscar, say one more word about the DBs. Say one more.
I will team kill you right here, right now.
Okay, spoiler alerts for Gears 5. But the fact that in Gears 5, you with your own hand get to kill him was the most satisfying thing ever.
You ruined the game for everybody. It's fine. It's fine.
All right, end of spoiler. But yeah, that was beautiful. It was okay. Come on, it was in the freaking trailer like over 2 years ago. You knew it was him dying. All right, let's just calm our jets here, okay? But
I didn't know I was gonna be a murderer, but that's fine.
dude, it's so great. Like I couldn't have wanted. I never hated a character more. But anyway, no, yeah, Gears 5 is such a beautiful campaign. It's so excellent. So as much as I'm enjoying playing through it now, and I'm probably wrapping up some of my time with it in the first season, Operation 1. I am such a story focused guy, and I still do find myself, even though it just came out, I'm still thinking about the next book or the next game that's going to eventually come out from it.
Right.
So, yeah, very good game. But unfortunately, I think that does it for the news. Not much going on, but we got some bomb-ass topics, to bring up. So, Qual had mentioned earlier about his kind of beef with DLC. So here's how we do this debate format. I'm gonna let you go at it. I'm gonna let you spit into the mic, right? Talk about your feelings.
Spit some fires. So.
I'm gonna agree with you where I do.
Kyle.
Data, obviously you can chime in too. And then after you're done, I'm gonna tear apart your fucking world. No, I'm talking.
That was a little aggressive there, but that's fine, Tyler.
Yeah, no.
Basically, is my thing with DLCs is now in the past few years we were made to believe, hey, you know what? You buy a $60 game. You know what? This game is gonna be worth maybe 15 plus hours. Enjoy it, do all the things, but then all of a sudden now GameStop and some developers say, hey, you buy a game at $60, but then you have to spend another $24 for a Game Pass for more DLCs. I just feel like sometimes it's too much. Then it makes me feel like I've taken the value away from the game. Like, why am I paying you $60? Why don't you just make the game cheaper and then have me buy those content later if I choose to? It just kind of feels like I'm kind of getting the short hand of the stick, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
It's just been industry standard to have games start off at $60.
Yeah.
Regardless of, I mean, even with Switch, you're seeing them
Yeah.
have to pay the same amount because for the downloadable games compared to their cartridges or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like, they have to have the retail prices all stay the same so everybody stays competitive.
Yeah.
Otherwise, nobody's really...
And the other thing is, like, I'm glad you brought that point up with DLCs and physical copy, because I can buy the same game, and let's say I go to GameStop, the physical copy is literally $20 cheaper than the digital version. So is it because I'm being charged more for the convenience? Like, I don't think that's fair. What if I don't want to physically get up to my game console and put the disc in, but I want to have a digital library, but I'm being charged extra $30 just to have the digital version? I mean, I can understand the sales point of it, but I feel like that's inconvenient for some people who just wants to have a digital version. But then again, that's the same thing that goes with DLCs is like, you're giving me content, but you're making me pay for it right away, but you're charging me for a game where I feel sometimes you're taking the value of it away from me. So, and to me, that doesn't make me feel at ease about it. Then makes me feel like, maybe I should wait. You know what? Maybe it'll go on sale. So that initially, as a salesperson, and all three of us are sales, why wouldn't I just wait? Why not we just wait for a better deal? Mm-hmm. And it takes away from the whole point of thinking, we need to get numbers out. We need to sell millions of copies. But then what about if you deter those people who feel like, I'm not dropping $60 on a game. I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. So that's just kind of how I feel about DLC. I mean, there's more, but you can tell me your input on how you feel about DLC.
GearsLeague@gmail.com. GearsLeague@gmail.com. Definitely. anyway, so good points. I like it. I get where you're coming from. I think you spit fire, but here's a little bit of the other side of the argument. So, back in the day, let's go way back to the days of Super Nintendo. Game turnaround time, 6 months. Mm-hmm. That's all it took you to make a game. Like, maybe less. Not much more. Mm-hmm. But 6 months. Guess how much games were back then? They were $100.
Wow.
Your games were $100 back then. All right. Now, obviously, one of the most lucrative fields in that time was being a game developer. Owning a game company. That was good business. 6 month product. $100 per pop. It was pretty good. Mm-hmm. So let's forward over to now, even the last generation to this generation. Games are $60, much cheaper. They're cheaper than they've ever been. But here's what happens. So we see a lot of the middleman falling out. Right? Remember, THQ closed, a few years back. They're very much the middleman in gaming. There's the indie developers, then there's the middle tier, and then there's the AAA developers, your Microsoft, your Sony's, EA, all that. And you see THQ. Right, close. Independent developers, they ebb and flow, but lately now, I mean, the beginning of the generation, they were, booming because there was no games coming out. They had the spotlight. But now look at indie developers right now. A lot of them are struggling. A lot of them are closing. Mm-hmm. There is only really AAA developers left, and there's some indie developers who are still surviving. That's because games aren't getting any cheaper to make, but the consumer and the social vocal voices of gamers is very loud about their how they feel, right? $60 a game still seems expensive, but at the same time, think about that $100 that was what did that get the developer before? That $60 what did that get developer just last generation? What does that get the developer this generation? So game development cycles have gone up. Last year, 2 years turnaround time was probably a game for you. It's at least 3 years. Even Call of Duty's on 3-year development cycles now. Mm-hmm. So, and you see games as services, come around like when heavy multiplayer games, people complain about microtransactions and all that. but that's a way to monetize the game after that. Honestly, game prices probably should have gone up last generation, but they didn't because they knew it wasn't a consumer-friendly option, and they knew people would have lost their mind, you know. So they kept game prices the same, and effectively games are, you could probably say, are you $64, $65, $70 now? Because, think about Spider-Man when it came out, for PS4, $60 gets you the game, yeah, but $80 gets you all the DLC. All right, DLC is a game, is a way of you reuse assets, give the players more to do if they want it, and it's super cheap to make because you're not making a new game again. You're just reorganizing, recycling the parts of the game you already made. Mm-hmm. So I get your argument that you're saying that it kind of feels like we're getting ripped off, and in a way, that definitely makes sense. But the other side of the coin is, we are lucky. I think we're lucky to be paying the price that we are, because if you think about, like, we all grown in the single, like, Assassin's Creeds came out with microtransactions. I think that was heavily hey, we need to justify coming out with a closed off experience every year as opposed to making a multiplayer experience. And I mean, to me, honestly, I'm grateful that Assassin's Creed is getting microtransactions. That means that if they can find a way to make this work, that means that at least we can get a future in single player games. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people roll their eyes when people say, like, if there's going to be a future to single player games. Well, think about it. Like, the most lucrative games are Fortnite, Destiny, games that are always online. Single player games are mainly what I play, even though you hear me talk about Gears and Destiny all the time. Those are the two exceptions to the rule. Those are not my rule. My rule is I usually just bounce from single player game to single player game, And though, as we're not, I wouldn't say we're seeing any less because there's still a lot of money to be made. People know that, but I don't see us getting any more anytime soon. So that's kind of my 2 cents argument from the other side. Is just that. We are losing a lot of developers. We're losing a lot of talent, and it seems like games are just money hungry. And there's a good chance that EA is definitely money hungry, but at the same time, like, and the other side of it is they kind of also need to justify this to kind of get they straight up did nothing but lose money from last generation to this generation. It's only more expensive to do the same thing for the same amount of money, So
no, I definitely appreciate your point of view, but then again, it's like, what about for those gamers who, let's say, you just want to buy a regular game that start off at $60, but then if you want to get the deluxe or the supreme version or whatever, you're going to spend about $80 to $100. But then realistically, through all the things that have come up, I mean, most of the time, I'm looking at the DLC. It's in-game content that won't even matter, and then. Mm-hmm. In a few hours of the gameplay. Right. So then you spend that extra money to get that extra gun, that extra skin. But in the overall grand scheme of things, if you play the game a little bit further, you get to unlock that. So does it feel like I put my $20 in value? Mm-hmm. So that's where I'm talking about. Like, you definitely bring out a valid point. But sometimes, hey, you know what? I just spent that extra money, but that skin, I can literally just change it into something else later on.
Right.
So then it just makes me feel like they're not doing the service for the gamers. And I think I read or heard somewhere is that obviously gaming industry is a service industry, and that we have to remember that it does no one good if our customers are slowly becoming more bitter and jaded, because then I buy a game, I buy all these things for it, and then I guess it comes down to personal preference, but what if the game content itself, it just becomes lazy? And you said something earlier, but it kind of brings it to the point where I feel like sometimes, some developers are lazy. Like the game Surge, the Surge 1 and 2, phenomenal game. It took the contest of Demon Souls, but kind of got bored of the game. Or the game Prey. So certain games like that get hyped, and then that gave you all these DLCs. Mm-hmm. Then the game doesn't live up to its expectation.
Okay. Like you spend the money first.
You spend the money first, so then you don't get the content.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying too. I mean, I definitely see both sides of it. I feel like obviously you want to be smart as a consumer with your dollar, but at the same time, your business, you gotta make money, so.
Yeah, it's kind of how fighting games have been doing it for years. They don't release all their characters at the same time.
Yeah.
Say Super Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Pretty much Naruto.
Pretty much any game that you have to unlock characters.
I've been playing Jump Force a lot lately, and I mean, I first came out, got the game, told myself I'm just gonna play these characters as I kept going along. I mean, see, they added more characters that I personally had connection to. I was like, well, I gotta get that guy. Mm-hmm. And then kept going, and eventually I saw that after buying about 3 of them, there's a season pass. I was like, hey, you know what? In the long run, it helps them help update the game because Jump Force itself started off really rough. They didn't have a lot of features like rematching somebody after a game or selecting a new character after, just say, a solo player game. Now that they're getting more money to go in and actually update their games, all they're really doing is adding characters. Doesn't really hurt, and as long as the people are willing and want to have those characters, I don't really see any harm in it. And at the end of the day, it helps everybody out. Helps the developers, and it helps make the consumer a little bit more happier in the end. But
Well, so that also kind of brings me to my next question. You know, I know it's your topic, Paul, but this is something that I kind of share a lot of interest in too. Would you rather have the model of $60, but you know there's money to be spent around the corner, or would you rather just have the game be $80 and know that you're done paying?
I feel like I want to get the end product of what. Now that also depends on the game because there's certain games that have content that can't be produced at a timely fashion. So that's where we can become lenient on the developers. It's like, hey, you know what? This game takes resources, and we get that everything takes resources. But if a game has been advertised to be complete, it should be complete from day one. But if you're going to give us resources, say, hey, you know what? There's more content coming, at least adjust the price to accommodate to that. Because then if I'm going to buy something, you know what? Here's my product. I'm going to be satisfied. You know what? If there's going to be more cool things on top of it, I'll decide to purchase that later on. But don't make me force to buy everything up front. What if I don't enjoy the initial content? So that's the issue that I have with DLCs. Like, I mean, it can go both ways and go plus or minus. But I feel like if you're going to create content in an industry like now, everybody's out to make money, and everything that you need to do with your company requires money. So sometimes I just feel like some players and hardcore gamers are feeling exploited because they're being told to spend all this money and then they don't even enjoy the content.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm fortunate so that I've never really had to experience this, but I guess there is probably something to be said about dropping $80 on some game and some season pass just to be heartbroken. Like, I guess, and that's probably, you said you bought the platinum version of, of Anthem. Yeah, I get that. I guess I've been fortunate to just not have had that happen to me yet. Maybe when that happens to me, I'll change my tune a little bit, but.
It's usually not too common. Like, I mean, the only other incident I can think of where the game didn't pull out as much as they were hoping it did was No Man's Sky. But I wasn't one of the people that actually bought it, but I mean, even now they're starting to update. But how long did it take them to come back?
Right.
It's been over a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Right.
So
yeah. Which I feel, kind of side story, I feel so bad for the developer. There was a team of 20 guys. That guy was so shy and did not like getting on stage. He gets on stage. You can tell he's shy and nervous. And he could kind of tell he's just like, Sony overhyped that game for them. I feel so bad for them. But yeah.
It did kind of blow up in their face. But now, do they only have it on PC and PlayStation now? Is that how
no, it's also on Xbox. It was so advertised side by side as no. I think I'm wrong. I think it
was just PC.
Well, it was
and
PlayStation and PC. Maybe you're. Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, I might have. We should probably. I mean, we live in the age of internet. We should just look this.
We should just find out really quick. Just enter of the webs. And while you're doing that, Tyler, so essentially what I was saying about DLCs is that some poorly done DLCs can poison, like, obviously, the publishers and having people feel exploited. But what I was basically saying with that is, with some DLCs, if I'm playing a game, I enjoy it, I'm more likely to buy the DLC, because if there's a hidden story or there's a hidden end game, I'm more likely to spend more money on that if I enjoy the original content. So basically, developers and games being pushed to $60, at least give me some caveat to say, hey, you know what? I really enjoy this game. You know what? I'm going to wait for the next DLC. I'm going to wait for the next content. I will throw all my money at you because I enjoyed the initial service that were provided. But now with some games, excuse me, they hype it up. They say, oh, this is this and that. And then I get disappointed. So are you going to spend more money just to try to get a better feeling for the same game? Or are you going to revert back? And then I feel like a lot of developers are doing that. So I feel like that's why a lot of these games are coming out with, like, disappointment, all these AAA games. Like Fallout 76, that was I guess a battle royale type of deal, or you can have internet
They give
based.
the option
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do battle.
yeah. And then I played that game for like 16 hours, and I was like, I'm not having fun anymore.
Right.
And it's just they hype everything so up. It's just like, you know what? I want pure content for the services and the price I paid.
Right.
And if you want me to get more money out of me, at least let me enjoy the initial content.
Right.
I mean, you really shouldn't rely on a DLC to save a game.
Yeah.
If the game isn't that great,
Mhm.
a DLC won't change.
Yeah.
Like the actual
Right.
feel of the game.
It should just be. It should be more of the same. I think.
Yeah.
Right. It should just be a little more.
Yeah, it's
so.
more of like a situation where I was playing Assassin's Creed. I finished it, and that story had me hooked. I didn't want to leave that universe yet. So I bought the season pass, and I waited every season when those new stories came out. And oh my gosh, like those are the type of games like it sucks me in, and that's why I can appreciate DLCs because it's I already got the great product, but I was like I want more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DLCs are a great way to get that.
Yeah.
I
Right.
think companies see that. I mean, I really don't even view it as them kind of going at us monetarily. It's more of like a, hey, you guys really enjoyed this. Like, let's give you some more. Like, it's, it's pretty much it's a hand in hand. It's like I appreciate the developers for
Yeah.
sometimes giving us really good DLCs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say
So now the other thing that brings our second question is: do we want to be exposed to the DLC before the actual content is done? Because I feel a lot of developers they tease us. They give us these teasers, like, you know what, we're gonna give you this game, and I think a lot of times when they did do something like that, it's like, hey, you have a complete solid game, but why advertise something that's not part of the main game? Like, don't do that. Let me beat the game first. Then, based on how I feel, create a DLC based on what the community says. Because I feel like that's the only way we'll meet developers halfway. Because why would you produce something of more of something when people don't want it? So then you're gonna blame people. It's like, oh, people are not buying. Oh, why are we buying? Right. Maybe you should have sure not showed us. So that's why I feel sometimes DLC should come out when they feel like the game has met a requirement or status quo. Yeah.
That'd be a really noble goal, but
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
But
I get
you
what
know,
you're
they
saying.
want the more monies.
Right.
We want the monies in our pocket. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, the first game I ever felt like I've never craved DLC. I'm just such an achievement hunter. I always just end up buying it no matter what. First game I'm actually craving DLC for is Sekiro. Like, I just can't wait for more DLC. But on the other end of that, I'm just you had mentioned it kind of gave me flashbacks of Mass Effect 2 DLC. I don't know if you guys know the story.
Love
about
Mass Effects.
Love Mass Effect, but Mass Effect 2 DLC was kind of messed up because that one was one, if you didn't buy the DLC and you played Mass Effect 3, you didn't know how it started because the actual ending of the game was in the DLC. I thought that was one step too far.
Yeah.
that was the one thing I heard about. My friend was a big Mass Effect fan.
Yeah.
It kind of ruined his whole thing because he's like, I mean, he's not the wealthiest person. He's like, I have to buy something else to actually finish this game.
That was messed up. Yeah.
It was kind of a weird thing, and I haven't ever seen a game do that before.
Right.
It almost reminds me of like it's a play to win thing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a forced play to win at the same time.
Pay to
You
play.
will enjoy the game, but you must pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was messed up. But yeah, fair enough. Cool. Good thoughts. Yeah. Anyway, so did you have a topic you want to bring? Because I think we should keep it to 2 topics an episode, and then we just got one person cycles not having one. I kind of do have one. I don't know if I'm gonna save it for later though. I mean, do you have any thoughts on yours?
You're just like those DLC developers. You're gonna advertise the topic and not tell us, Tyler? Oh
Mine's
goodness.
mostly just kind of reflecting off how the Game Pass is really doing well right now.
Game Passes, yeah.
And it's
I
just,
love Game Passes.
It's just amazing that they're dropping titles that are brand new.
Yeah.
Day one on the Game Pass, or in situations like Gears, dropping it before anybody else gets it, which is it's really crazy because at the end of the day, you assume, hey, they probably want me to buy this game, not pay a monthly subscription for all these games. But at the end of the day, I mean, like, I'm happy. I'm not complaining about it, but it's weird not owning all the games anymore because I have like over 100 games in my library. I don't even think I technically own half of them.
Right.
It's like,
Well,
kinda
Leasing
gets you
all these
wonder,
games.
Because it's like, do you think they would ever take them off?
yeah.
Like, do you ever think they would go through? I mean, EA's done it once, and they had their ass chewed. It was maybe a week before they put the game back on.
Right.
It was like one of the NHL games, but
So do you download the games just in hopes that you might play so it doesn't get removed? I think if you download
it gets removed.
I think you can't even play.
Yeah.
Like you lose the
lose
license
access.
to it.
So you could open the game and it'll close out and say you need to purchase this game.
Right. If you were to download it on game. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So that brings me to another point. Now you said that now the pros and cons of having a membership in the Game Pass is phenomenal. Like me, I was like waiting, trying to save money to play Gears 5. I was so excited at the story. But then Tyler, he's like, hey, you don't have to buy the game. There's literally Game Pass and it's on there. So then it brings me to the next point about, I know we talked about the DLC already. He pre-purchased the game and he spent $80 on it. So now the real question we can ask you, Tyler, is you got Game Pass, you are playing through the game, you love it, it's phenomenal. Do you feel that extra money you spent on an extra copy justifies the value of the game?
I can officially say I made an informed mistake. I knew damn well it was launching in the Game Pass. I even read what was coming in the Ultimate Edition. I'm like, I'm sure it's gonna be worth my money for me to buy it and have Game Pass. And I
mean, you can buy the.
I bought the digital deluxe edition, and so basically the only thing I've got over other people is I get like an extra month of like double XP, which you could buy for $12.
I was gonna say, because
Do you feel exploited, Tyler?
in a way you could have just bought the actual like package for it, which is you buy the game through Game Pass or rent it through Game Pass, whatever you want to say. But then you could buy that actual extra part, whatever the premium version.
Which you actually get free if you play day one.
Oh,
I
my
did play
goodness.
day one.
You get the double whammy.
Yeah, no.
But it's phenomenal that you brought that topic up, Beto. The reason is because sometimes I'm the type of guy, he's like, you know what, that's a cool game, but I'm not going to go out. I'm going to wait to see if there's a deep sale. I'll always wait for the reviews. Yeah. And it's amazing because Game Pass lets me, is like, you know what, I'm going to try out the game. You know what, I've only spent $15 on my subscription. How bad can it be? If I don't like it, I just uninstall it. So I think a lot of developers and companies are going the right way because if you're streaming and they're servicing the games, I can try every game. And if there's a new game that's being dropped, it's like, you know what? I'm not going to wait for a deep sale. I have the chance to, try it out now. Yep. So I think it's phenomenal that they're doing that.
Oh shit, look at our segments come to a segue.
You stop worrying about the time. You're the one who bought a game twice.
No, I'm saying they came to a segue. I'm just saying.
Oh.
That was see, you had your topic and you had your topic and then they connected.
This guy being
Actually,
excited.
I wanted to bring up one more thing kind of dealing with Game Pass.
We got time.
So there was a...
I want to talk a lot about Game Pass, actually.
Do you know how Netflix and Hulu and all them kind of killed Blockbuster? So do you think with the creation of all these Game Passes that retail stores like
are
GameStop,
done?
I've already been into a couple stores. I mean, the last time I was in there was a couple months ago, but the guy at the desk voiced his concerns. He wasn't sure if he was going to really have a job in the next year.
Do you need a paycheck, buddy? Or
What do you need?
you got some coins?
Kind of, if you think about it, like the gamer retail stores are kind of like the gamer's barbershop.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you go there for information. You go there just to have conversations with people. It's usually an overall good experience. But with that, do you think Game Pass and everything is going to bring basically what happened to Blockbuster into play? It kind of looks like it's...
So here's the thing. If digital sales weren't already killing GameStop, I mean, look, I think digital sales was taking GameStop out back and shooting it in the head. Game subscriptions are shooting it in the head twice just to be sure. Like,
Probably throwing it in a bucket of acid and blending it just to be safe.
yeah,
Double check.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
Dude, that's so funny you mentioned it because it's not really funny because people are losing their jobs, but like there's been several stories in the last year about how GameStop has just been hemorrhaging like money and hemorrhaging stock prices. They have a stockholder meeting about how they expect to lose more stock. Immediately after it's over, the stock drops 10%.
That's like an arrow to the knee twice.
It's like they know it's coming. But how do they go into... Because they can't... I mean, they can sell digital copies, but who would go into a store?
Well, they could. Not anymore. There's actually... PlayStation put like a really big, heavy, like no on that anymore. Like, you can't even go in there and buy the codes for like PlayStation games anymore. That was... this happened like... I mean, I think there is some exceptions to it, but like it was like 3 years ago. There was this big thing where like PlayStation said like no, there's no digital sales anywhere other than the PlayStation Store. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like no, I think they're very aggressively against GameStop. Mm-hmm. GameStop is in a lot of trouble. Their model as it stands, I don't think it's gonna withstand the test of time. Like,
100%. I
Yeah.
already can kind of see the stress they're dealing with, but it's nothing really.
Yeah.
Because I am one of those people that have personally I buy hard drives and all this stuff to prepare for myself to download all these games.
right.
And I don't know, it's a little weird. I feel bad, but at the same time, it's more convenient for me to go home directly and then just buy them straight on my console.
Right. I was a big game collector. Like, I always dreamed and visioned of having, like, one day, like, you know, when I make it big, to buy my own library of just games. Even it was probably not even a year ago now at this point. Actually, no, it was only like 5 months ago, actually. What am I talking about? I literally just said, I was just tired of looking at all those games, just the pile of stack. I just traded them all in. And I just sold them all to my physical games. And because I had most of those games already bought over again on digitally. And if I need them again, they're like 4 cents. I feel like I to digitally buy them, you know? And so, like, you know, so
it comes down to the what you said earlier about the age of information of short-term satisfaction. Now that I can literally, just like you said, I can either drive 25 minutes to the store, get the experience with the people, get their input, you know, just collaborate. I like that feeling. I still like the feeling going to GameStop, talking to the employees, like, hey, how do you feel about this game? How many people bought this game? What have you heard? That gives me the genuine insight of a game versus a review, because anybody can just write anything.
Right.
So I think it kind of go both ways, but you can't beat digital information. It's just so fast that you like physical stores can't compete with them. If I can literally go home, buy the same game, and I know there's a discount online for like $30 cheaper, I'm not gonna drive. I'm just gonna, hey, you know what? I'll just download it directly right there.
Especially now that you still already have to download the games,
Yeah.
regardless if you
Yeah.
have
Right, that-
digital or
Yeah.
this copy.
Yeah.
right, exactly.
Still escapes me to this day.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's. I give up. I don't know. I was gonna give you some explanation, but I don't. Yeah, no, it's. I mean, there is something to be said, right, about that experience of like going and meeting other nerds, right? Like that's always like what people talk about. It's like, you know, you go back to these like World of Warcraft, like midnight launch experiences, where like people are just finding all these people. Like, you know, I get it. I mean, I guess I personally, I mean, I don't speak for everyone, obviously. Me personally, I've been over that experience for a long time. Like, I mean, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, I think was probably like the last time I went to a midnight launch of anything. And like, even at that point, I was already over it. You know, I was like,
It's not even midnight anymore. Now games are
Yeah.
legitimately giving you the game 4 days early, so that defeats the purpose of
if
going
you buy
to
digitally.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
yeah. So there's benefits. You get early access, or there's those people who are traditionally. I enjoy midnight releases. They're not even midnight anymore. They're like 9 o'clock. It's like, well, I can just stay home. I can just pick it up tomorrow, because you can literally just go and grab the game and go. No more line. No more nothing. But you can see in the trend of how physical stores are actually dying out. So
Right, yeah. Yeah.
moment of silence for the physical stores.
Yes.
You remember one thing I noticed? You know, they actually limit.
All right. We're back after some technical difficulties that I refuse to edit out because people like Gears League for its authenticity. That's what I like to imagine.
I kicked the mic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're a fuck.
You're a fuck.
Anyway, as we were saying, I don't remember what were we saying.
I think I was just mentioning how I just thought it's weird that retail stores can actually run out of digital copies. You think that even if they're not making too much of a percentage off of them,
Right.
that game developers like Xbox, PlayStation would actually want them to sell more of those copies, regardless if it's digital or physical.
Well, here's the thing. Microsoft, you know, they get a much bigger cut when you buy digitally, you know, because they cut out the middleman. They just sold directly to you, you know. So they don't. So there's always kind of this talk about like when there's this theory that like one day we're just gonna open up the PlayStation store or the Xbox store, and it's gonna be Call of Duty $50, retail $60. Go eat shit, GameStop. You know, like so. I'm always thinking like when that day comes, man. Like I mean, I feel like it can't. And that you think GameStop's dead now? Wait for that day, you know. And you know, so and these day one launch on Game Pass, you know, spend $8, $10, $15, whatever it is for Game Pass. I have the Ultimate Edition, so it's always $15 for me. But spend $15. Get Outer Worlds day one, or spend $60. Go and get up off your fat ass and take it out of your motherfucking console when you want to play into the game.
Take out the
Yeah,
motherfucker.
that's the one thing that's really pushed me over. I don't have to it's really a lazy thing, but I don't have to get up to switch games. And for the games that I do own on disc are just ones that when I casually walked into a retail store, I saw they were on sale. I was like, oh, might as well. And that goes with Siege, which eventually came out on Game Pass. So, but it had a good year that I had the actual disc. And the only other two that I owned were Call of Duty World War I and Assassin's Creed, which Assassin's Creed has been in my Xbox since I purchased it. I don't really touch Call of Duty World War I anymore.
Good game.
Partially because I don't want to take it out and put it back in. And second, just because they switch their games so often, it's kind of hard to be on the last game when everybody is on the new games. Which is another reason why I've kind of fallen off Call of Duty bandwagon.
Right, for sure.
But that's another topic.
So you're not gonna buy Call of Duty Modern Warfare, but okay.
The campaign looks good. But anyway,
does.
we're getting off topic.
But the other thing, before we close on the whole GameStop thing, now what about the whole trading in with phones, and now they're also selling phones? Like, do you think that's another avenue that, you know, GameStop is trying to approach? Or
nothing will save them. That's my 2 cents.
If they focused
nothing
on
will save those
phones-
degenerates.
Phone reselling, they would have to change their name.
Yeah.
Because at that point, they're not
Right.
a game.
Dude, I mean, if you go in there now, like, I'm almost confused what the fuck they are now. Because you go in there, you see this
What are you
Funko
selling?
Pop and these fucking teddy bears. It's like T-shirts.
They sell a lot of memorabilia, excuse me. But at the same time, you can still buy those online.
Yeah.
Most likely cheaper, or through eBay, which you can bid your own price. And I don't know.
But they do have an online digital library, though. So, I mean, I like to go to GameStop. I use the app a lot. And I think sometimes the same sales are actually on the digital server, too. So maybe do you think they're going an avenue where they're going to go digital, too?
Here's the thing. When any discount they give you on a digital game is to get you to go back to GameStop because they have actually lost money on that game. Mm-hmm. Any new game you buy from GameStop, I used to work at GameStop for like a month and a half, honestly, but I did hear this. They make $5 when you buy a new game.
Ow.
Yeah, that's all they make. So when they give you a discount on the digital version of it, they've lost at least, 5 or 10, you know? So they just...
Sorry, GameStop, I try to save you. I guess not. Not working this time.
Yeah, exactly. So they're kind of SOL. Like, so you hear them, it's so depressing. You hear them talk about how they're trying to figure out new ways to monetize, going retro game stores, and I really feel for them, but like it's just times are changing, But and honestly, because we kind of forgot the original part of the topic actually was Game Pass and stuff like that, which is again it kind of comes full. I mean, it kind of comes full circle right with GameStop, right? It's gonna be the death of GameStop when PlayStation does it. Like that goes the rest of it, But a couple of side notes I wanted to talk about with Xbox Game Pass is, now I know Xbox got hammered this generation, but think about how good of a setup they're in for this next generation of consoles. Day one, you have Game Pass, which is probably going to be like free with your Xbox membership for like a year or something crazy like that. Mm-hmm. You have all these games day one on Xbox. If you buy Xbox, you've got 50 games, versus
That's legit.
Yeah, exactly. Like how does PlayStation compete with that? PlayStation Now, which is all right, is they did recently just lower the price point. Still is not nearly the value that Xbox Game Pass is. Games aren't launching into there. Older, like Uncharted 4 is going into like PlayStation Now, and it's only going to be there until like February. So it's like there's not even a quarter of the value of Game Pass, in PlayStation Now. So I feel like
I think they just haven't really figured it out yet because they're more relying on people purchasing the games. I think right now in their mindset they have such good single player titles that they know people will want to purchase. They could, in theory, make more money off that, but that's just based on PlayStation's market.
Right.
With Xbox, they've got a little bit more leeway because they've got all these access to indie games, all these third-party developers that they technically own and they can release on there, and they make a little bit of a profit, but at the end of the day, it's Xbox is definitely winning in the theme of like Game Passes, but.
Right. And I know people make the argument, if Xbox was winning, would they be so consumer friendly? No, probably not, right? But the fact is they are now, and they're PlayStation's in for a hurting next generation for sure. So, yeah. Anyway, any other closing thoughts before we wrap up episode 2 of Gears League, an Xbox podcast? TM, sponsored by Beats by Bello. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's not real.
That's not real. Don't buy it. It's not online either.
It will one day though. Beats by Bello.
Beats by. Hey, that's kind
It's weird when he says it. I get flashbacks.
Yeah. No closing thoughts for me, but we're just gonna have to see what the next generation and how industries and developers are collaborating to satisfy. Because in the end of the day, none of those things will happen without the consumer and the satisfaction of consumers. So I mean, you can only go do one product and sell it for so long. If the society doesn't want to buy it, it's gonna collapse.
I think I have our topic for next show. We should just do some Xbox speculation, next gen Xbox shit.
Yeah, I'm agree.
Compile all the notes.
I've got some
Yeah.
questions about it. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking like, are they moving? Towards
PC Master Race all the way.
I'm just wondering if they're moving more towards like a brand new console where it's not connected to Xbox One at all. And that's the next kind of thing I was wondering. It's like, are they ever gonna switch out of the kind of theme they're on right now? Like, are they gonna have it cross-platform with their original Xboxes, like how they've been doing with the original Xbox, the S and the X, or is the Scorpio gonna be a whole new beast?
Oh, snap. We'll discuss all this more on the next episode of Gears League. This is where we have the outro music, but there's no outro music, so we just beatbox.